And actually, since it's just after 1 o'clock, I think I'll get started and I'll record the session too for folks that weren't able to listen in. Thanks for making time for this, Cindy. I just want to share some information here quickly about student portfolios. I'm a world language teacher in a prior life, and I wanted to share really the work that came out of some world language professional development sessions about 2 years ago. The idea, I don't know if you remember or not, about 2 or so years ago, we had like 6 days from the same trimester where we had snow days. And I actually took this idea out of frustration of I didn't really, we didn't have the one-to-one access like we can oftentimes assume today. And I wanted to have an opportunity for kids to be working on something remotely. And in the context of one-to-one, in the context of distance learning or hybrid, this can be done a lot easier. So I just want to kind of walk through, I'm going to share a little bit about my rationale first. I am recording the session just as a heads up. And I'll go ahead and share my entire screen. And just a little bit about kind of the audience for this. Again, as a world language teacher, I really wanted to have students have the option of showcasing to people who were not world language teachers about their levels of proficiency. And what I was really interested in doing is making sure that people understood what my kids could do in target language, even if they weren't a world language teacher. And the ways that we can articulate that to people is through just sharing a link to Amelia's example on her resume or her curriculum vitae. She could add this to college entrance paperwork. If she were applying for a promotion in the military, she could add a link to that. It's also a really great opportunity for kids to reflect on the growth that they have achieved as a result of, X amount of trimesters or X amount of years in a particular program. Now, I went into this work through the lens really of as a world language teacher, but I would argue that every content area then could have their own page on a student's site, on their portfolio site. This is also a great chance for kids to have an even better tech skill set. I think sometimes kids forget that there's this academic lens to technology that they're experiencing, and that's an area of improvement for a lot of kids. Kids are tech savvy with some skill sets, but not necessarily with all. And then I guess I go back to the question of why not? Why wouldn't we do this? I try when I make this invitation to think about these digital portfolios. I want people to be thinking about, 1 to 2 tasks maybe per class, and not feeling overwhelmed by the examples from this presentation. And I also want to share that there is time to do this. One of my concerns when I thought about the class, I thought, well, if I dump a bunch of time into a proficiency portfolio, or if you're a FACS teacher, a portfolio of students' cooking work, or if you are a industrial tech teacher having a portfolio of all the work that they've accomplished, or maybe some kind of an interview that's documented, I thought to myself, I wonder if there's going to be enough time to squeeze it in and not lose the content of the course. Because in a district our size, of course, people feel the pressure of having to have students at a certain spot at the end of a trimester, at the end of a year, etc. And I'm just here to put you at ease to say, and I'm not sharing these data to boast, I'm just saying to not hesitate to do this. Now, a lot of the work has been done for teachers in the sense that there is now a one-stop shop. And this link is linked in the calendar, and I'll put it in the chat too for you. And that is to say, in these data here of all the students in the district, this is done the same trimester as Amelia's example that I'm about to show you, is 99% of the kids in the district were meeting proficiency for this learning target in Spanish 3B for writing proficiency. And that 100% of my kids, including the student who is showcased, met that target. So I want to temper that caution that a lot of teachers have and just say, nope, we can do this. We can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And then next here, we have this next prompt. It's an interpersonal speaking prompt. I wanted to showcase both writing and interpersonal. But kids are making the mark and able to create this portfolio. What would you put in a portfolio? It might include these things. There are a lot of pieces that teachers are already including in their coursework right now in distance learning, embedding Flipgrid videos, capturing some audio, slide presentations, maybe docs. And I would just invite you to think about sketching out what you would want to uncover with your kids. My best tool when I design a web page or a project that I have in mind is just grabbing a piece of paper and I go back to this legal pad and I sketch out what my ideas are, and it'll save you and your students time if they have in mind what they want to uncover. So there is a link from the calendar invite. In fact, I'll go to it here. And here are your pages that you can direct students to, or your colleagues, for that fact, or for that matter, I should say. And what you would do is just, I would include the experience of just sharing the example here from Amelia's page, what she uncovered by exploring, and we co-created this language portfolio to put on her college entrance documentation. So I asked her to do a little bit of writing. Hey, what are your goals with taking Spanish? And again, if you're teaching mathematics, then you would want to frame the standards and the writing prompts accordingly. So if you ever have a day that's coming up that you want students to write about their goals or explore the resources on the hub that I'm about to show you, this would be a great opportunity to do that in distance learning. So we had these check-ins, these video check-ins every week, and this is us just embedding those through YouTube for her to share this check-in. This is a little bit about her week. So again, thinking about what would be a video sample that you would want your kids to be able to embed in a Google site also. So besides those 4 weekly check-ins, here's a video project that she worked on, giving us a tour of her home, again, in target languages. And I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit because I also want to talk you through that there's a description of the task here on the right-hand side. And then the standards that are addressed are all listed here on the right-hand side. So if you have other people in your content area that might be interested in doing this, then let's try to kind of divide and conquer, and maybe have certain people grab the standards that kids can copy and paste and put into their site, for example. Here's an environmental poster that Amelia did for her class with me in Spanish. This is all in the same class. That people can click into, explore the poster that she had created. And as soon as that loads, it'll be there. Again, you could explore that. You could find out what the benchmarks that are in mind for that assignment. Here's a Flipgrid. A lot of teachers are using Flipgrid in distance learning. It's really easy to embed. And when I say embed, E-M-B-E-D, embed those videos so that they're press and play ready, just like Amelia's example here. So this is her completing a summative assessment, describing in her own words about a story. And at the bottom here, this is video conference coverage of an interview that we did with an green energy expert that is a Spanish speaker who offices out of Eden Prairie. And we connected 2 of our classes of Spanish 4 with them. So again, it all really goes back to, what are your goals? What do you want your students to be able to showcase to somebody about what they're able to do in your content area? That other part of that link also brings you to this student ePortfolio site. And this is where you could just send students. So I would invite you to copy and paste this link and come back to it later when you're ready to share it with kids. This has already been created. This is something that I created during conferences because I don't host conferences as a tech coordinator, but I had a chance, I think last year, one of our first set of conferences, I had a chance to build this site, and I really wanted to make it friendly for people who were thinking about starting. And that's what you would do, is just click on start on this page when you're ready to think about creating a page. And I've got the steps here all linked out. 1 and 2, for example, here is a Giphy. It is an animated picture file that kind of walks you through. If you prefer to have a printed handout, here's a PDF where you can either print them for your students or send the links to in Google Classroom, for example. I know a lot of people that prefer to have something where they can jot down notes and come back to. We've really designed this for including everyone that's interested in creating, including teachers. So here are your steps here, 1 through 4, on how to get started. There's even a video tutorial here waiting to kind of step you through things. So you'll be able to see that that video, for example, step by step. Questions right away that come up about this. That's interesting, Cindy. Thanks for that information. I guess what I would invite you to do is to click into that link a little bit later. I wonder if it's because my volume's a little bit low. Maybe we can test that in just a little bit. Let me do this. I'm going to grab this site and I'm going to put it right in the chat if I haven't already. And I'll just paste it for you if you want to just preview it on your side. I'm going to actually stop recording because I think this is really the bulk of the information here at this point. And then I'm curious too, Cindy, a little bit about what you have in mind and how I can maybe help